Hey guys, it's Will from Tested.
And I'm Norm from Tested.
Norman Chan, Windows 10 technical preview is out right now.
You know, this is the most exciting operating system. Operating system that I'm the most excited for, honestly, out of any operating system in the past
Why
year.
is that? Explain.
Because Windows 8 got a really bad rap.
You think Windows 8 was better than it was?
I think Windows 8.1 probably better than it was.
I think that's fair.
And I know a lot of people who are multi-OS people use Windows desktops and maybe Android or iOS mobile, but still prefer Windows on their desktop.
Or I mean, both of us use OS 10 on laptops because we like MacBooks as laptops.
Oh, and I think OS 10 is also a better laptop operating system.
For working.
For working.
Yeah. Windows, I use Windows on a desktop PC at home all the time. I've installed Windows on our Surface Pro here.
Nothing but Microsoft.
This is the most Microsoft thing in the office.
Pro.
I think this is a 1.0 because it doesn't.
Oh my goodness.
It doesn't do the additional kicks. It was the laptop we had around.
Wow.
We send most of our laptops back, so this was what we had one of these from Build or something a few years ago.
So Microsoft announced Windows 10, not an X, just 10, numerical 10, about 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and you can download it. You can download what they call a technical preview.
It's essentially a debug version of the OS that's designed to let people see kind of what they're doing with the UI, presumably before it's too late to change stuff. Because usually when you see Microsoft Windows betas, at least stuff that's public, they've already locked features and they're committed to what they're doing. There's no turning back. You're not going to see any changes in the way the OS behaves. At this point, they're saying like big parts of the OS could still change. So
they want to find feedback specifically and also want to track how people are using, will use this OS.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a little bit of controversy over the weekend where people were concerned that Windows 10's technical preview has like keyloggers, and if you use the voice feedback, it records your voice and stuff like that. They make this all super upfront. I mean, it's in the EULA, so it's not super duper upfront. But they say don't use this for production stuff. Don't put anything secret on this. If you submit tips and bug reports and stuff like that, all of that information is going to go to Microsoft. That's expected on this kind of, like this is essentially what would have been a developer preview prior to this, it seems like. Yeah. It's out to the public, you can go download it. It's not on the front page of Microsoft, just search for Windows 10 technical preview if you want to download it. I think you have to become a Microsoft insider. I feel like I joined something with my Windows Live ID.
Sure. But it's not like it's not TechNet.
It is not TechNet, you don't have to have any special access, you don't have to pay anything to get it. So this is it right here. I'm using, like I said, a Surface Pro 1. It's a 1440 by 900 display, so some stuff just doesn't work quite right. But we wanted to put on something that has touch.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about this is,
oh my God!
Start menu's back,
That's
Norm.
a start menu.
Yeah, and not only that, you can make it bigger
or
smaller.
Oh my God!
I missed it.
Holy moly!
I guess I have to add stuff to make it bigger. It's resizable. You have the default app list, and this works. This part over here works the same as it always did. It's the most frequently used things. This stuff up here is what it thinks are the things you're using most recently, I think. So these are the 4 most recent folders or apps I had open.
Okay.
There's a power button at the top, so I can turn off the laptop from right there just by tapping that, which is kind of nice. And then you can go to an all apps view where you have the big long scrolly thing with everything that's installed on the system. But the thing that's new is this guy over here, right?
And you can also pin stuff.
You can pin stuff. So yeah, so if I want to say, I like OneNote a lot, I think it's a really nice app, I'm going to pin it to the start menu, and it just pops up here. And this is going to keep getting bigger and bigger. Then you can also resize stuff. So you can make it smaller, medium, or it works just like the start screen did in Windows 8 and 8.1, but it's on the desktop, so it doesn't, like the thing that's good about this is there's no modal shift from, hey, I'm in my 5 windows, I have 5 windows open, I hit the start button, and I go to this other screen, and then I start typing to launch a new app, and that's laggy and slow, and it takes me in and out of the work that I'm doing.
Regardless of whether it was slow, it just takes you out of the work. The fact that you can, it's functionally it's the same. Like search was always the same from 7
Search
to 8.
was slow. Search in 8 was slow. 8.1 was better.
But it was the idea that you can hit the start button and just start typing anything you want. Right. But the fact that in Windows 8 and 8.1, it just transitioned you over to a whole different screen where you couldn't see, for example, the work you had in the background, that was undesirable.
It sucked. Yeah, and then even worse, you would go to the start screen to see the list of whole apps. You have to go down to another screen. I mean, it kind of made sense if you're on a tablet and you only have a couple dozen apps installed. But if you're on a real desktop PC, it was a huge step back in usability. And adoption indicated that. Okay, so here's the start screen, the start menu. when you, oh, yeah, did you like that? It picks
like
up the
that.
colors from the
I like
background and
that.
changes it. It seems like I don't know if that's what it's actually doing, but we can test real quick. Nope, still gray. I don't know why it goes gray and red. It does it occasionally for me. It may be when my wallpaper changes.
So what happens when you just search?
So when you just search, it gives you the list of applications on your system. So you just type, I'm going to type pictures because I know that's on here. I can go, and look, it's fuzzy. So if I get close, it still knows that's pictures.
That's good.
It also is aware of that paint is something I would use for pictures, so it puts that up, which I thought was kind of clever. What else is something that would be on this machine? Internet Explorer. So
Of course.
it comes right up, right?
Yep.
That stuff is quite good. It does give you all the additional stuff that it did with Windows 8.1, I think, where you see stuff from the Windows Live Store down here, like Internet Explorer, shortcut keys, and Windows Internet Speed Booster, and all that stuff. You can turn that stuff off just like you could in Windows 8.1.
No,
I strongly advise that.
Is this a universal search where it also becomes web search?
It seems like if you come all the way down here to the bottom, you're going to see web search. In reality, I don't know about how you use the search in Windows 8.1. I always just type the thing I want and press enter and never look at any of these other results.
Yep.
But this opens a web search and takes me to Internet Explorer. Search for Internet Explorer, it seems like.
There you go.
So, like that stuff's pretty good. There's some stuff that's orphaned if you're in the Start menu screen. Like you can find it by typing like Control Panel. It's the stuff that used to be special in previous versions of Windows prior to 8.1, 8 and 8.1.
So
like
disk
Control
management
Panel.
is the thing I use the most.
So that stuff you can still find by right-clicking on the Start menu.
Aha.
All that stuff that like this was
The best menu in Windows is right-clicking the Start button.
it's the best menu in Windows 8.
Yes.
Yeah. This has all that kind of admin grognard stuff that people who really use Windows
love
want
it.
access to.
I love it.
And that stuff works the same as it always has. Like I said, Control Panel seems to be orphaned. I couldn't really find a way to browse to it. It may be in here, but like I don't see it. So you have to either know to right-click there, or they're going to expose it some way in this new Start menu. When you install on a touch machine, you get the Start screen by default. When you install on a machine that doesn't have touch, you get the Start menu by default. And if you want to change back and forth and see the others, you can right-click on the taskbar, go to Properties, and then go to Start menu, and then say use the Start menu instead of the Start screen. That's easy.
There you go. That's a little how-to right there.
Exactly.
So the Start screen does still exist, though.
The Start screen still does exist. Yeah, I can show you the Start screen if you want. I think I have to re-log in and re-log out.
Okay.
So I'm probably not going to do that actually when I think about it because I don't want to lose our video. It's tenuous.
But if you choose Start menu, then the Start screen isn't like an option you can short hotkey to.
No. And it doesn't seem like there's a like. Ideally, I'd want on a device like a Surface, I'd want a mode switch where you take the keyboard off and it goes to Start screen. You put the keyboard and mouse on and it goes to Start menu. That's not in the technical preview. It may make final version.
That makes a whole
They
lot
may
of
have a
sense.
better solution entirely. Who knows?
Yeah, it's kind of like the keyboard thing with the virtual keyboard.
Exactly.
And then the apps.
So
you
yeah.
still have modern UI apps, like your Mail there, your Calendar there.
I'm not going to open Mail, but I'll open Calendar.
Okay.
Because Mail has Mail in it. That seems like a mistake. Okay, I'm not going to add my email account to this. But yeah, so you'll note the big difference. This is a window.
Oh!
So I can bring it up. I can snap it just like you can. Well, it doesn't seem to be snapping. I guess normal Windows snap only right now. But the modern apps, which are now called universal apps, so they went from Metro to modern to now universal, work just like normal desktop Windows. And you can do things like tap this little menu here and make it go full screen, and then it's just like a traditional modern app if that's the thing you're into.
And if you Alt-Tab,
Yeah.
it just appears as an application. right?
It's universal. So the stuff is, everything is everywhere. And it seems like our big complaint about Windows 8 was that there were separate but equal parts or separate, really unequal parts of the UI. There was the Start screen with all the modern stuff. There was the desktop with all the stuff you actually use. And those two things didn't interact at all. That stuff seems to be changing.
Should not stand.
Yes.
So what about the touch gestures? Now I know they kept the Charms menu here.
The Charms menu, but the word on the street is that the Charms menu may be going away.
Okay.
So this stuff is still here. This is essentially unchanged from Windows 8.1.
And then what about the swipe from the left?
The weird multitasking. See, it comes up
just
to
becomes
this,
as Alt-Tab.
which it's a good thing you bring this up. So this is Alt-Tab, but there's also virtual desktops now too. And
Well,
this
Alt-Tab has changed, first of all.
Alt-Tab has changed.
It's now a I would say, I dare say, like iOS. or mobile OSs is
Kind
now
of,
a
yeah.
tiling of your different applications.
This isn't that different from 8.1. The only difference is it used to be a modal pop-up that would come up in front of the window, and now it's just its own kind of screen.
Well, I'm glad it's not the Windows 7 arrow staggered
3D
look.
Unfortunate 3D
Yes.
UI. So this Alt Tab works well. When you swipe in from the side, you get the same thing, but they added virtual desktops.
This is
now.
the best thing for mobile, for laptops.
Yeah, this is why I like OS 10 especially for small screen, low resolution laptops like a MacBook Air. You can have multiple desktops to use for multiple things. So for example, I can open Internet Explorer. Well, I already had Internet Explorer open. That's a bad example, but I can open other applications on this one. So let's open Paint over here. Oh, there's a command prompt. We'll do that in a little bit. Where'd Paint go? There we go. And I can draw here, and then I can go back over to my other desktop, and that stuff's independent. So you can have like a desktop for video editing, you can have a desktop for web browsing, you have a desktop for writing.
But you can have one application in instances over multiple desktops.
That is a little bit unclear to me right now. My hunch is that this is still a little rough.
Oh, I would be real sad if you couldn't open Chrome windows in multiple desktops.
My assumption is that you will be able to do that, but it doesn't seem to be working right now.
Okay.
So like if I open Paint, it just jumps back to the right desktop. Like when you get into this virtual desktop stuff, the way OS 10 does it isn't perfect. I think it's really good, but there's a lot of how users expect things to work versus how they actually work, and I'm sure they'll do a ton of user testing to figure out why this is out there. They want to know what you expect when you click on Paint on a desktop that doesn't have a Paint window open.
Microsoft,
right?
I got a pro tip for you right now. Use Alt-Tab, like you have there, the tab windows for between applications, but use swipe from the left, where in Windows 8, use that for your multiple desktops.
So I just got another one. But I had to kind of drill down to do it.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of them changing the default, what happens when you click on the shortcut activity. And I think it'll probably be different based on Windows, because some applications expect to only have one window open, like Photoshop. Some applications expect to have multiple windows open, and you can strew them across desktops all year long.
It really seems like that this multiple desktops implementation they have is just separate states that are independent of each other. What I do like about Mac OS 10 is their multiple desktops just looks like one really long desktop, which mentally, from a spatial sense, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, and it animates to indicate that. So you'll be looking at a desktop, and then that one shifts right, and the new one's right here, and then that one shifts right.
Yeah.
This doesn't have any animations on it. Like none of this stuff. The reason I think this is a super raw feature is that there's no kind of flair around the activity. Like even when you look at like the Alt Tab, there's no transition when it pops up. It's just boom.
Okay.
There it is.
Again, my preference, and maybe it's something that we user configurable, is use multiple desktops in a way to increase your canvas opposed to having multiple layers of desktops.
So the thing I'll tell you is it seems like that's probably the case because I think it's Control Windows Tab and right or left. There's no animation for this.
But that's swaps.
But that's moving right or left across this list of
4-finger swipe
of things over here. Yeah, 4-finger swipe is what I really want here. Okay, so the one thing that's weird about this is when you have modern apps, it doesn't automatically. Like I'm going to maximize the store, which is something I can't believe I'm saying, but there it is. It's full screen.
That should be its own desktop.
It should be its own desktop. Like that's the one thing I would expect from OS 10, and it doesn't seem to do that right now. It just shows up as another window and on the desktops that you have.
A borderless application.
Yeah, it's a little
maximized.
like that stuff. This is all. If this is coming out at the end of next year, I would expect this stuff to be locked around like the early part of 2015 timeframe. Not right now. There's notifications.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about something else, but you should take a picture and share it and put it in the shared Dropbox folder that we use, the tested Will Norm Joey one. Do you have Dropbox on your phone?
I do.
Okay,
good.
I'm
going to do that right now. I got homework.
I meant to ask you that beforehand. There's new notifications though. So you know how notifications are essentially unchanged on Windows since, let's say, Windows 98, 95, and there's always this little pop-up on the left side of the screen down there that just says, hey, something's changed. There's a unified notification pane now design, and they had this for modern apps in Windows 8 and 8.1, but they didn't have it in desktop apps. So you still get the little bubble down here, or Google would do their own thing, or whoever. So there was no kind of like.
Oh, you got a notification.
Well, right, I got a notification.
Full screen. Oh, did you miss it?
I missed it.
Okay, let me do it again because I was fast in the draw there.
Okay, so we're going to leave this up. It pops up in the top right corner of the screen now, which seems like an improvement.
Well, Windows 8 had the pop-up on
There it
the
is,
top
right there.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tap it or anything, nothing happens. But the Windows 8 pop-up was only for modern apps,
Right.
like your mail and calendar and stuff like that. It didn't work with desktop apps, and that's working with desktop, or at least some desktop apps now. I tried a couple of different things that do notifications. Google still does their own thing, it seems like, for Hangouts and Chrome and Gmail and stuff like that. Pigeon, because it's using GTK, I assume, for pop-ups, that didn't work. Dropbox worked like a charm. Thanks to Lifehacker, I found that out.
But can you click that?
I couldn't, I don't know. And it doesn't seem like it goes anywhere. Like I couldn't find a notification list that just pops out with everything. That's something I'm sure will come with time.
Okay.
Stuff has changed in Windows Explorer. So let's go to an Explorer window.
Explorer is, again, that's one of the reasons you have a desktop. That you have folders and you have paned windows, snap windows. All right,
You can drag
Explorer.
stuff between folders.
Yes.
So this, when you open a File Explorer, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kill all of these. Oh, go away, help. I'm just going to close some windows here because it's getting a little crazy.
Windows 10, getting a little crazy.
Oh, it did open the tested Will Norm Joey folder. So maybe the notification did something in the background and we just it didn't pop it to the foreground.
It didn't even show my picture.
Was it a good picture?
Yeah, it was a good picture. That's all right.
Okay, well, we'll get to it in a minute. So this is the new start screen, the thing you see first when you launch File Explorer. This is one of my favorite things from what I've seen so far about the new OS. The first thing is it unifies these favorites at the top of the screen right here. These 5 icons
Location.
are the same as these 5 icons over here. Which this favorites thing on the top of the left pane on Windows Explorer is the thing that I use all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Any folder I hit more than twice a day, I put in that list, and I organize them based on usage. The neat thing is that this next list is that programmatically done. So instead of me having to actively think, oh yeah, I do use these folders all the time, it just dumps in there, and it seems like there's not a lot of overlap. Like Dropbox is a little bit weird because the Dropbox folder sometimes behaves oddly, but it seems like these folders don't overlap. When I moved Dropbox up into the top, tested Will Norm Joey up into the top, it went away from the frequently used folders. It has recent files. I haven't used the OS enough to know if that's actually working in a way that a human being will use, or the way recent files have always worked in every OS ever, Windows, OS 10, and Linux. But it seems pretty good, and I love this favorites thing because that's much more useful to me than a list of drives. For what it's worth, you can also put a list of drives in here. You can put drives in. You can even put your PC shortcut, and that stuff's all still there if you want it. Now, the interesting thing about this home screen, the thing that's missing is libraries. So libraries have been a feature of Windows since I think Windows 7 or maybe even Longhorn.
Yep.
Or Vista.
No one really use libraries.
I kind of used libraries when I had multiple hard drives in my PC.
Okay.
So I would have like music or videos that I'm working on right now, and then I'd have like the archive folder. I'd make it one big library so I didn't have to think about it. However, I don't think anybody's going to miss libraries, and SSDs are getting big enough you don't need multiple drives anymore, so it's not really an issue.
Snapping.
Snapping. I don't know if snapping is going to work on the laptop because it's a small screen. But you know how you can snap Windows to fold to, yeah, okay,
It's
so you can
one
do
of the
that.
best things, and again, this is something that's unique to Windows.
Yes.
Is the idea, and I love it for big monitors, snapping. Now you can snap, of course, halves,
Yep.
right? Your documents, document on one side, web browser other side.
So I assure you this is the case, but we can't do multiple video outs on this laptop because we're using one to pipe video to you.
Okay.
When you hook this up to a big monitor, you can snap in 4 quadrants instead of just the 2 halves.
Oh boy.
So you can do up here. Oh, there it goes.
there it
It's
goes.
working. Okay. You bring it to the corners.
There.
And so it's not super useful on a 1400 by 900 display, but on a 2560 by 1600 display, it is crazy awesome.
And the fact that you can do this with touch easily is something that's going to be useful for Surface. It really feels like they designed this to make the Surface Pro 3 and what subsequent Surface Pros that much more awesome.
So here's the thing, like after using this I've only used this for a few hours, full disclosure. It feels, if this had come out as Windows 8, people wouldn't have hated Windows 8.
People would have upgraded.
People would have used it and been like, yeah, this is actually, I would actually buy touch on this. So now they have to go uphill on the touch thing. Like they fixed, one of the things they fixed is the touch, the touch grabbiness of your fingers. Your fat fingers on the low-res screen it's much easier to grab stuff. Like just doing stuff like grabbing the top bar of the window
smooth.
was tough before. And you can even do things like grab the corners. It seems to be when I grab that when I'm near that lower left corner, and I move in a way that indicates I would like to resize the window, it resizes the window. It seems to be much smarter about just general touch stuff, like hitting the X's in the top left corner, which is now a little bit bigger, but it seems like touch is smarter in general, which is a welcome change, and it makes this whole unified desktop / modern app, universal app thing work a lot
without
better.
the crutch of those finger bubbles.
Yeah, those finger bubbles sucked.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody, like if you have to think about it, I mean, the finger bubbles are still there. You can see them. They tap, tap, tap. But it's much better. I haven't done stuff like selecting text. That seems to still kind of suck, although that's not in a writable pane, so who knows. But the touch, just in general, window management and basic using the computer stuff that I would have normally gone to a mouse for immediately is much better with touch on the 10 developer preview and their technical preview even. There's a new command prompt.
That's something that I don't use that often, but I know some people were excited about.
So I use it on my Mac fairly regularly for
Terminal.
like terminal stuff. Yeah, you need terminal to do like if you jack up a driver or something. If you do something bad, or if you want to script something dumb, you use terminal or smart. I mean, I usually use it for dumb stuff. But you can paste into terminal now. So I'm going to open up a notepad window here.
The most used application in Windows.
Tested is rad. Actually, and I use my Mac keyboard shortcut so that. Oh, okay, so text, oh, there it goes. That's okay. And now I can go back to the command prompt, and I can Control V. Didn't work. I don't know why it didn't work now.
It's a technical preview.
Oh, wait, hold on. I didn't turn on the advanced stuff on this machine.
Aha. It's an experimental feature.
There we go. I think I have to restart it. It's
Note using the trackpad.
I was going to say
slower and more cumbersome than using a touchscreen.
Look, I can close that left and right.
Touchscreen on Windows, sold.
Like when the touchscreen works good, see, and it just popped up. Tested is rad. Control V works. There's a bunch of other stuff in that preferences menu. And note, like these icons, just a little tiny bit bigger, and it seems like the areas around them are a little bit smarter. I think they do line wrapping. It doesn't seem like it's a full bash shell where you can do like command completion by hitting tab and stuff like that. But it's definitely a welcome improvement. I'm going to see if you can do no tab completion. So moving in the right direction for people who need command line on Windows. Like I said, charms are the same. Rumor is that's going to go away entirely. They're going to get rid of them.
I think there's everything moving in the right direction, and of course, as we get closer next year, build is next April.
Yeah.
Then we'll see, and they'll be announcing enterprise stuff hopefully next month, I think. We'll see whether this warrants the full upgrade. I know a lot of people are holding out with Windows 7. They haven't updated 8. I'm already on 8.1. I've grown comfortable with it.
I mean, 8.1's fine.
I think 8.1
it's usable.
Yeah. And I frankly do not like all the updates, the lack of updates I get with Windows 7. I feel more comfortable from a security standpoint with Windows 8 and 8.1. They're equivalent.
You're giving the same updates to both OSs. That's just in your head.
The question is whether next year this is something that they're going to charge money for.
Oh, this has to be so. They absolutely said they're charging money for this.
Boy.
It wouldn't surprise me if they do another one of the early rollout $40 deep discount upgrade pricing for existing customers. Like that is a good way for them to boost their adoption rate, because with 18% adoption rate on Windows 8, they want to get people off of XP 1 and Windows 7 2. I'm really optimistic about this. This is looking super good. This is something I would install. I would like, just to be clear, don't install the technical preview on something you use. Right. If you install it, you're going to hit walls with stuff that won't work very quickly, and you're going to end up having to roll back, and it'll be a big pain in the butt. So if you're going to install it, put another hard drive in, install there.
It's developer friendly. If you have apps in the store, for example, now I'll have the desktop apps in the store. It's one store for Xbox, for modern, and for desktop.
Not necessarily for Xbox. They've been saying this for a long time. Like we went to a Windows 7 store. I went to a Windows 7 store launch where they're like, look, you can make one application, it'll run on all of our platforms. That had a big giant asterisk next to it that said, yes, this is absolutely true if you follow this massive specific criteria. I talked to some developers on Twitter and email after this announcement to get clarification on what that actually means. Because, like I said, third time they've said that.
Yep.
This time, the developers seemed kind of optimistic that it was actually true, that they could write the same application and then style different views for like the phone, the tablet, the big desktop PC, and actually get that. One thing that they're not doing in the store, at least so far, is automatic delivery of desktop apps and universal apps.
Right.
So you can install, like when you click on a universal app like Facebook and install that, it comes down and installs. The Windows backend manages all of that stuff. You can still buy stuff like, I think Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop's probably not in here, but you can buy normal desktop apps in the Windows Store as well. But then there's a whole process, and it may even mail you a disk at the end of the day. I don't know how that works. It doesn't do all the back-end App Store style app management that you'd expect. I want to see that change.
I want the option.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I use all the time on the Mac, on the OS X side, but having access to, oh yeah, okay, I can buy this app, it's $20, boom, it downloads, it installs, everything's taken care of. That's really handy, and it makes me much more likely to buy apps, frankly.
All right. That's Windows 10.
Technical preview.
Technical preview. It's promising.
It's pretty good.
But we'll see next year.
Yeah, see you guys later.